Is it now?
Oh, so you were live 5 minutes ago.
Really? Hold on, let me go to my YouTube, see if it's.
Uh,
Oh, okay, I see it. Okay, I'm live.
oh, oh yeah, it's delayed.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
All right. Yeah, it has my voice in it, but later you can edit it.
Okay. All right. Bye.
All right, bye.
All right, y'all. Welcome to a live stream. Brian here. We're gonna be going over Hurricane Beryl, Category 4 Hurricane Beryl. This thing just rapidly intensified. Started this morning as a Category 1. It was a Category 1 this morning as sustained winds of 80 miles per hour. Millibar, the low pressure was at 983 this morning. But then in one update from the 7 a.m. advisory from the National Hurricane Center, it from 7 o'clock advisory to the 11 o'clock advisory went from Category 1 to Category 3, just like that. So it went from 80 to 105 miles per hour, which is Category 3 strength, which is 968 pressure. And then by the two um, by the 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock advisory, 115, which made it a Category 4 storm. Um, as you can see here, this thing is still strengthening as it's headed right toward Barbados, maybe just to the south of Bridgetown, Barbados, as you can see there on the satellite. But we just got to. This storm is really, really strong. This is your low level, so your low level moisture right here, as you can see here. So you can see here, all of this right here. That is just looks like we're having a replacing eye wall cycle. So what I mean by that is that your regular eye wall right here that is starting to develop there is it's starting to recycle itself. Um, so this is the eastern edge of the hurricane here, but that whole eastern edge, as you saw, it was really big thunderstorm development at first, but then it started like weakening a little bit. But the storm is not weakening though. It's still got a pretty healthy eye with this storm. As you can see there on the water vapor. Go to the long wave. The long wave looks incredibly healthy. The storm is healthy. It's very, very strong. So this thing is not large, not very large at all. But you just gotta you just gotta have um, we just gotta have all this developing. All this is developing, and as you can see here, we head toward the we can head toward. Let's look at the cone. So we have the cone here. There's tropical depression 3 there in the Gulf that formed earlier, um, as well. But main focus right now is Hurricane Beryl. So you can see where the cone, where this system might is where the center of the storm expected to go. So it's expected to go all the way toward the western southern Gulf, the southwestern Gulf, and expected to weaken into a tropical storm. Because I'll show you why here in a minute. But this is the cone. So this could wobble if it wobbles further north and it does hit Barbados. This cone very, will shift very just a slim, will just shift slimly. But also we got to keep an eye on um, if this thing goes further south, because if this thing further south, it has more water and more warm waters to run over, and it could strengthen as it approaches into the Central Caribbean. This thing looks like it's gonna hit. Looks like this one's gonna hit south of Puerto Rico, south of Cuba, maybe directly impact Jamaica, in the Central Caribbean as well. Um, no, not as it stands right now. No impacts to the United States as of now. But if this thing changes its direction, or if it just or as it heads into the Gulf, as it's forecasted to be a 70-mile per hour tropical storm as it heads into the Gulf. This thing has a whole lot of like 2 days, 3 days to re-strengthen into a hurricane again. But right now, if you're in the Barbados areas, um, your time to get all your preparations done, stay hunkered down, is approaching end now. So all your preparations should be done in the next 2 hours. This thing is gonna approach your area by the by midnight. So I'd say by midnight, by sunset tonight in Barbados and Trinidad and Tobago, St. George, all those areas should be done with your preparations by tonight, by midnight, by 11, 12 o'clock tonight in that area, because Hurricane Beryl will be approaching and hitting that area with a lot of heavy rainfall. I'll show you the forecast guidance here in a minute. This just tells you how strong the storm is. So we just looking at satellite right here. This just shows you how strong this sucker this got over the last few updates. So I can show you a 50 frame loop here. And my goodness, you just saw that storm just blow up. This thing, category 3, and you saw the eyes. That eye is very clear that he is, as the eye can see there. Um, I think it's very, very strengthened. It's very strong. Um, Now let's jump into the models. We're gonna go and jump into the model runs. Let's go tropical tidbits here. This is tropicaltidbits.com, one of the weather models I use to to look at the weather here. I'm gonna go to the tropical Atlantic here. Actually, we're gonna go to the Western Atlantic. So right here, this is GFS model. We're gonna go all over. We're gonna go through all the models here. Um, let's go to the H Wharf. So the H Wharf is one of the better models I use here. Um, but you can see here 966 millibar pressure hurricane, which is category 4 strength. This thing has it. This thing has it heading toward. It has it directly impact. There's Trinidad. There's all those areas. This is by 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. You can see a very healthy hurricane. Maybe replacing the western edge of that hurricane, but um, you can see as it re-strengthens overnight, it could. I mean, there's a possibility this thing can go category 5, but if this thing has to be category 5, it has to do it by by the 7 p.m. update and by the 10 p.m. update from the National Hurricane Center when it comes out in a few hours. Um, this is the H Wharf model. You can see your H Wharf model as this is your reflectivity. You can see by Tuesday at 1 a.m., this thing's still a pretty strong hurricane. This is a pretty strong hurricane heading into the Caribbean, into the Western Caribbean, into the Eastern Caribbean, my bad. 952, this thing has an even stronger category 4 hurricane approaching category 5 strength. And this thing has it going to a 947 pressure, which is a high end category 5. I don't think this thing is going to go category 5. A high end category 5. I mean, it's possible as they head into the Caribbean, but I just don't think it's possible right now just because when it hits the Caribbean, it just depends on what the high pressure does and what the um and see what the low pressure, the cold fronts does as it comes through the United States through the central and heads into the Gulf, and those fronts interact with this hurricane, and it does it either push it more west into Mexico, or does it um, push it north and head toward the United States, toward Texas or towards Louisiana? Don't think it's going to head a northeast turn. I don't think that is going to happen. I don't think that is ever going to happen with this hurricane, with Hurricane Beryl. But just going over, this is the HMON model. You can see it's doing a pretty good job. This was earlier. This is 1 a.m. July 2nd, which is Tuesday. You see it's in the Caribbean, past the islands, past Trinidad, Tobago, Barbados. That rain there is starting to end, but 963 hurricane still, category 1, category 2. You can see this one has it weakening a little bit. It still has it as a category 1 hurricane, and then it weakens it into a tropical storm as it heads south of Puerto Rico. You see Puerto Rico right here, rainfall. extreme heavy rainfall here for Puerto Rico, and then all that stuff there. So the main thing with this is I think the GFS did okay job with this system. I mean, as it stands, this thing did an okay job this with Hurricane Beryl. I mean, it didn't do a great job. I don't think it's so. This is by Thursday has it as a 999 hurricane. I mean, not hurricane, but low end tropical depression. I don't think this thing weakens into a tropical depression when it heads into the Caribbean. I don't think that's ever going to happen. This thing is too strong to weaken into a low end tropical depression. But let's go to the. We're going to go to the National Hurricane Center and we're going to go look at Hurricane Beryl here. Latest updates from them. You can see here Beryl. This is your tropical. This is another area we're watching. So we are watching a second area of interest here. So we have Invest 96L right here, just in the same areas that Hurricane Beryl is in right now. Beryl is in the same area. This Invest is heading right for the Barbados, the islands again. Um, and this could be trouble with another hurricane on our horizon here. This has been updated right here. Um, Invest 94, which is in the Gulf, Southwestern Gulf, 80%, 80%. 48 hours, next 2 days, 80%, next 7 days, 80%. So that thing's already a tropical depression. Um, this one, this one is the one that's behind Hurricane Beryl, 40% in the next 2 days, 70% in the next 7 days. So that one is the one we're going to keep an eye on for the next possibly hurricane to hit the islands again. So we're gonna go look at Hurricane Beryl if I can find it on here. I don't think I will. Um, but we'll see what we got. So we'll just go to satellite here. We'll continue to look at the satellite. This thing is strong. I mean, this thing is ugly. I mean, it's not going to be good for the islands here. Um, they have it as 145. I think this thing, if it reaches 150 miles per hour, this thing is going to be a category 5 by tonight. I do. I 100% think this thing can go category 5. Um, but once this thing hits category 5, this thing won't stop. This thing won't stop strengthening until possibly it heads into the Central Caribbean toward Puerto Rico. This thing is not. Um, so this thing is not gonna just say, "Hey, I'm gonna go hit the Caribbean. I'm gonna go hit the islands and then stop strengthening." This thing could strengthen as it heads into the Caribbean. As I was saying earlier, this thing is forecasted to be weaker a little bit, um, but I don't think it's going to be a Category 4 as it heads into the Caribbean. But it'd be a high end Category 3, lower end Category 2 as what I'm looking at. Um, but we're gonna have to continue to look at this hurricane and see what this thing does overnight. If this thing does quite a quite a few things here, we can um, we can just see what's going on here. Y'all y'all make sure y'all ask questions here if you want to ask. But this is a very strong hurricane. This is not a not a thing to mess around with. This thing is very strong. It could turn deadly and quickly. I mean, this thing would drop heavy rainfall across most of these islands. Let's actually go to the models here. Um, so we're going to the models here. Let's look at their precipitation here. If I can, I can't kind of. So here's this wind speeds. This is this is not good for the islands here. I mean, it's, it's not good. This could be a catastrophic hurricane for the islands. This is the strongest hurricane on record in June. By the way, this broke it back out back in 1933. We had our first hurricane there. The last hurricane we had was 1933. That was when that was when we had the latest hurricane that hit the islands. But it's been a long time, so this could be pretty bad. Anybody got questions I can answer? If y'all have any questions y'all want me to answer on here, I'm looking at the chat. See nobody. Okay, so hmm, okay, so let's go and talk. Let's actually go and talk about um the weather here in Arkansas, I guess. So let's go and let's take a countrywide view of the systems here that we got approaching. Maybe we'll see what we got here according to all these models here. Let's go to temperatures. Okay, so oh, it makes me remind y'all. I want to go to the radar real quick because we did have some thunderstorms here today. I mean, there was some thunderstorm development here in Arkansas today. I mean, yeah, we did have some thunderstorms here in Arkansas today in the Little Rock Metro. So we'll go there. So here's your here's your 30 frames of all the storms that developed earlier today. Um, this was this was a cool off for today, and it was really hot out there. It was I even sweated so bad out there. It's just so humid out there. Um, it was pathetic out there. To be honest with you. But regardless, this is not the only. It was it wasn't severe today, but we do have we did have a enhanced risk over into the northeast today for wind only. We have a slight risk here in Montana and western North Dakota, down in northern Idaho, and there's a margin risk that extends down into Arizona there in Phoenix area. So we'll continue to look at that. We'll continue to follow that. Here is day two outlook. Your day two from the Storm Prediction Center of a very large area, slight risk area across North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, Nebraska, Iowa, and Minnesota. So we're going to watch that tomorrow. Um, Here's day three. So day three, Iowa, Missouri, Nebraska, Kansas. You're all impacted. You can see where the heat starts building back on day three here in Arkansas. The high pressure starts to make its track further west again. So we're gonna start getting see heat indexes up to 110 plus again. So we're gonna keep an eye on that too. So if you're gonna be in that heat, be out there less than 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes at the latest, but don't be out there more than that. Sometimes I have a hard trouble doing that because being out there in the heat could kill you and cause heat illnesses out there. So always just be very careful out there. If you're a parent out there, have a children or a pet, make sure you check out that back seat and make sure you have nobody back there, just on the safety precautions, so that way you don't forget children out in the back cart or pets if you see them feeling dizzy and stuff like that. Um, we're gonna go back here to Hurricane Beryl. This thing is just it's a beautiful storm. It's not not saying it in a not saying it in a good way though. This is an ugly storm heading for the islands here, but the structure on it is just really healthy. It's just I could tell it's gaining strength as it's going further to the west. But regardless of it, if it doesn't hit Category 5 strength, this thing is still going to be a catastrophic hurricane. I mean, just think about it. This thing could just definitely interact with this thing is farther south. The Sahara dust, so Sahara dust is farther north of that, and that thing is further south. So that thing strengthened quickly. Yesterday morning it was a tropical storm, 60-mile-per-hour winds. Then it rose up to Category 1 as of 11 a.m. advisory yesterday. And you look at it now, it's a Category 4 hurricane, sustained winds of 130 near maximum gusts 160 miles per hour. So y'all just saw how quickly that storm intensified. But this thing's not gonna let its strength go. I mean, this thing is definitely not a good sign for the islands. But I do have some good news though. This thing looks like it's gonna track down south of Barbados, so it might save Barbados just a hair, just by a couple miles south. I think. Um, this thing could just, I mean, just please, y'all be safe if you are going out on vacations or going out on a cruise. If you are on a cruise, just be mindful. You might be heading into a hurricane, but if you're on the islands there. Um, but some of the models do with this track. It does have some of the model guidance, like the European GFS model, has a re-strengthening in the Gulf, and then heading right for Texas, or like Canadian model has it heading and hitting. It has it from here, here, all the way here, and then boom. Wait, hold on, let me restart that. So the Canadian model is the outlier model. So this one I don't think it's ever gonna happen. But this thing has it going here, 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 and then boom, heading right for Florida. That could possibly happen, but I don't think that thing is out of the question. The Canadian model is out of the question on that. The GFS model, the track, has it further south of Barbados down there, and then it has it right here heading into the Guatemala area, and then heading it into Texas. Not in Corpus Christi, but Port Arthur, Port Aransas there in Texas. So, and then you have your last model, the European model, has it weakening into tropical storm as it hits the Yucatan, and then once it gets into the Gulf, boom, it hits New Orleans or whatever in Louisiana. But don't take those models seriously. I mean, this thing has got a whole lot of time before it. We've got a whole lot of time to track Hurricane Beryl as it approaches the Caribbean, into the Gulf toward Yucatan. But this tracks could easily shift. I mean, stressing to y'all this because there's a lot of there are a lot of weather people out there saying this thing's gonna hit the US because they're looking at one weather model and they're going for it. You have to look at all the models, look at the satellite, see where it's going, look at the National Hurricane Center forecast, and see what they're seeing on their models before they go and say it's going to hit the US. This thing could easily go farther west into Mexico, and boom, it could easily take a track like that. I mean, it could go into Yucatan, hit Cancun, and then hit Mexico and not even impact the US. I mean, that's how hurricanes work. It's kind of like tornadoes. You might have a tornado touchdown. It may not hit your house, but it may hit a couple blocks north of your house. So hurricanes are like tornadoes, except they're just stronger than them. But it doesn't matter though. This thing is still going to be very catastrophic. Still going to bring heavy rainfall, catastrophic winds with this storm. So just follow the local officials, your meteorologists down there, and if you're in the islands, the Barbados. Um, Beyond that, keep it keep the forecast, keep looking at the forecast from the National Hurricane Center and your local meteorologists down there in Jamaica, Puerto Rico, down there. And if you're here in Cancun, same thing goes for you. If you're in the U.S., keep an eye on your meteorologists, your local meteorologists down there in the Gulf Coast, because I mean this thing, it's not zero, but this thing could hit the U.S., but it's not zero. Um, it's still days away before it hits the U.S. If this thing does have a track and hits the U.S., this thing could go into Texas by Friday and Saturday of next weekend. So this thing could that's just an outlier model. Don't focus on just one model, two models. You've got to look at the forecast from the pros themselves and just keep an eye on those hurricanes and the hurricane force winds to see what the latest forecast. If the cone shifts, it's easily tomorrow you wake up in the morning, this cone shows it like this. This thing could go like this, and boom. I mean, it could shift. It definitely will shift. I mean, so y'all just got to keep an eye on it. I mean, you'll have to, you have to keep it, keep it great. I mean, that's all I have for y'all right now. But this is just a quick update on Hurricane Beryl. If y'all want me to, you y'all want me, I will upload another video later tonight. Um, Probably will go live again tomorrow or so, tomorrow morning. Um, and if I do see this thing go Category 5 tonight, I will go live again tonight and give y'all an update. Probably the 11 p.m. advisory tonight. I will probably go live again tonight at the 11 p.m. advisory if this thing does strengthen. Um, as it is expected to go on strengthen again. So, alrighty, guys. Well, thank y'all for watching, and I will catch y'all later, either tonight or tomorrow.